Sighren, where all my gems at? Hey, my gems, and happy whatever day of the week it is for you. I am actually getting ready to go live, so of course I decided to do a story time with y'all. Now I don't want to, I don't want it to take too long though, y'all, because I got to go live at like 7, and it's already 6. So we ain't gonna be able to talk too long. We're gonna use this palette right here because we're going with the fall energies. And yes, this was my little birthday thing, y'all. So y'all know I love to celebrate my birth season. So period. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna use Too Faced, okay, pumpkin spice. Y'all know it's fall season. And today we're going to play around with probably some oranges, pinks, and purples. Okay. Orange, pink, and purple. I hope I showed y'all. Okay, so that's what we're gonna be playing around with right there. All right, so I haven't done anything. So hold on, let me move this out of the way. I haven't done anything, so let me go ahead and get started on everything. All right. This is a toner, okay, a facial toner. It's made out of rice water, okay. So yeah. Today, y'all, we're going to be talking about a story time of when I met and engaged with the rapper, the Miami rapper, Trick Daddy. Okay. Now, I have tried to do this story time and time again, and I've just pulled it down each time because I'm just like, so please let me give a warning and a disclaimer. There are certain parts of this that I do not feel are appropriate for young children. So for those of you, my mommies who watch me with your younger children, please, I'm sure I'll give y'all a warning and be like, yo, remove the kids, okay? Or mute it, honey, mute it, okay? Because there are some things in here, y'all. Oh, child. Yes. So let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, so I am, at this point when I met him, I was working at the post office. So this was at the end of Cancer, because remember, this is when I was dating the guy Cancer. This was kind of like towards the end and right before Pisces. So there was that little gap where I told y'all I was kind of entertaining Sagittarius, the guy who worked at the post office with me. I was kind of entertaining him for a little bit during that time. So yeah, I'm working at the post office, and I'm working overnight at the post office, okay? Overnight when I worked at the post office. That's why I hated that job. Because when I started working out, I had to work overnight. So, back then, y'all, this was so throwback. This was like before direct deposit was big. Direct deposit was just now starting to come out. Check cashing was still popping back then. And getting up in the morning and depositing your checks. You know, they had the checks ready on Fridays or on payday. This was way back when. Remember, y'all, I'm a very seasoned woman. Okay? So this was 2000, early 2000s, right? Up in there. Very early, if not 99, 2000 up in there. So anywho, so I get off work, and of course it's payday. So during this time, I have to go by the bank. And at this time I was banking with Bank of America. Okay, because remember I told y'all I used to work for Bank of America, so I still had my account. They gave us like the top tier account. So yeah, I still had my account, and they gave it to us for like maybe a couple years after that. They started charging us like $30, $40 a month for it. Child, I was like, not I said Sighren. So anywho, so yeah, I'm like in the bank. I'm just getting off work. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I done did a whole like 11-hour shift, and like I said, this was before Pisces, so I had to work. Okay, remember, Cancer didn't have that much money. Okay, Cancer was paying the little small bills. Right? He didn't have enough to take care of the bigger bills. So I had to take care of the bigger bills, okay? But anywho, so I'm getting off work. I pull up at the bank. I want to catch the bank. Y'all, I've been like this all my life where I catch everything soon as it open. Because I was that type. I'm going to the bank as soon as it open. I don't want to be in the bank all day when everybody, go on their lunch break or when they get off from work. That's not the way I got down. And I need to do my eyebrows, y'all, but we gonna act like we don't know that, okay? So anywho, I'm at the bank, and all of a sudden I'm standing in line, and this smell pops up from behind me. Okay, when I say smell, it was a loud smell of what we know as marijuana. Okay, it just like poop, you know, popped up behind me. So I'm like, you know, who is that smelling like that? So I didn't want to turn around because I'm like, you know what, I'll be out of here in a little bit. So, you know, I ain't finna really entertain that. So I didn't turn around, and all of a sudden, a voice say, "Ain't that a nightgown?" So I had on this long dress. Now, you know how they have summer dress. Victoria's Secret sell, regular clothes along with, night clothes. So, you know, I'm wearing this dress, and it said Victoria's Secret going down the side, right? It was a long summer dress, but it said Victoria's Secret going down one side of it. And this voice says, "Ain't that a nightgown? You ain't supposed to be outside, or ain't you supposed to be in the house with that on? You out here in your nightgown?" So, of course, I had to turn around and entertain this poof that I smelled. So, you know, I turn around and I'm like, it's a dress. And when I turn around, I notice it's the rapper Trick Daddy. Okay, hold on, let me close this because it's always the color, y'all. Okay, so I notice it's the rapper Trick Daddy, right? So I'm like, you know, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, and he was like, "Oh, that ain't no night." I say, "No." He said, "Victoria's Secret make night clothes. They make lingerie. That's lingerie you got on." I was like, "Well, it could be lingerie, but for me, it's a dress. You know, I bought it as a dress, so it's a dress." So I didn't, you know, really entertain them too much, right then and there. But we did exchange. Well, I didn't exchange. I gave him my number, okay? Because Trick was cool. Like, when you from Miami, you know Trick. Trick is a very cool dude. Like, he's so cool. I haven't had many engagements with him, like physical, but you know, he knows some of my family members, so he has been at some of my family events, you know what I'm saying, as well. But so yeah, anywho, but I don't think he recalled. I don't know if he know, you know, that he tried to holler at me. I don't know, because you know, y'all will see. Anywho, so all right. So of course, I don't call him. Okay, I don't call him right away. I don't know if I gave him my number, but I know I got his. I didn't call him until maybe 3 months later. When I called him, he didn't even know. He didn't know who I was. I had to remind him, like, the Victoria's Secret dress. And he was like, "Oh, you know, I guess that kind of stood out." This was after Pisces. Remember that gap I had between Pisces and Bay? And there was slider moment. This was up in there. But no, he was not a slider. But this was up in that time period right there. Okay. So, yeah, I call him. I remind him of who I am. And, you know, he was like, "Oh, what's up? How you doing? Like, what took you so long, you know what I'm saying, to call and this and that?" And I'm like, "Well, I know you busy. You know, I didn't really want to, you know, bother you. I just wanted to make sure, you know, I had time and all that stuff." So, you know, he's like, "All right." So he's like, "I want to see you. I want to come see you." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So this is Trick Daddy. So this is not somebody who you want to be meeting at a public place. You know what I'm saying? He's a public figure. So you don't want to draw too much attention. And, you know, like I say, I was young back then. I don't think I would have did it the way I did it back then, because I invited him to my house. Okay. I was like, "All right, you could come through, you know, I'm gonna be here or whatever." Now, I really didn't mind because I had two sisters that actually lived in the same apartment complex as me. And one of them, she packed daily. So all I got to do was get to that phone, baby. You know what I'm saying? And it would have been on and popping. No problem. She packed for anybody. She don't care. Okay. She about that life. So I wasn't really stressed. But when he did get to my door, you know, he called me when he pulled up in my complex, and he let me know. He was like, "Yeah, all right, I'm finna be coming in." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So he gets to the door and he kind of like runs in, which kind of threw me off. I'm like, what the? I'm looking at the door like, what is he running from? He runs, like jumps inside of my house. So I closed the door back. You know, I locked the door and everything. And he was like, "Where your bathroom?" So I tell him where the bathroom. I'm like, "The bathroom is right there." He goes to the bathroom. So, of course, I'm sitting in my living room, you know, at this point. I'm just sitting there. I got the TV on or whatever. TV on, but it's kind of low, you know. So, I'm sitting on the sofa, and I'm like, all right, you know, dang. Y'all, 45 minutes went by. This still in my bathroom, okay? 45 minutes. I said, are you okay in there? He was like, yeah. And then he came out. Like, you know, after I asked him, was he okay? He came out after that. He was in there like 45 minutes. Now, when he came out of my bathroom, remember that smell I told y'all I smelled in the bank? It was 50 times stronger than that, okay? My bathroom. I'm like, now, the thing about the smell, y'all, is that years ago when I stayed with, when I stayed near an old acquaintance of mine, okay? Years ago, I stayed near an old acquaintance of mine, and I remember this was one of them times where I was getting back on my feet. This was after my baby daddy had done passed. So I remember there was this couple that moved in across from me. And every night, in the middle of the night, there was this smell that used to, you know, come from outside. Like we had a wall unit back then. We didn't have central air because I stayed in like this little studio, and we had like a wall unit. So I used to have this, there was this smell. I'm like, what is that smell? So one day, my acquaintance, she was like, girl, that's crack. She was like, girl, they over there smoking crack. Now, I'm not saying what he smoked in my bathroom was crack. What I am saying is when I smelled crack one time, that I remembered that smell, because when he came out, I'm like, oh, I smelled it immediately, and it triggered that memory. I'm like, oh, that smell like, you know. So anywho, he comes and he sits on the sofa, okay? Not, you know how the sofa got like 3 pillows, you know what I'm saying? And I was on like the edge of one, and he was on like the edge to middle of the second one. So we're not that close, but you know, we have a nice little distance in between us. So we're talking, and this was during the BET Awards. The BET Awards was in Miami, and him and Trina was performing. Now listen, while this dude sitting here talking to me all willy-nilly, they blowing his phone up because he's supposed to be over there. He's supposed to be performing and interviewing on the BET Awards, and these people are blowing his phone up. I'm just like, whoa. Like, aren't you supposed to be, you know, over there? He was like, yeah, they waiting on me. I ain't waiting on them. Those were his words. He said, they waiting on me. I ain't waiting on them. So he was like, I get there when I get there. And I was just like, okay. So we're talking, you guys, and we're just having general conversation. You know, we're getting to know each other and things of that nature. I'm going with the orange and the brown, as y'all can see. Orange and the burgundy. It's actually called Warm and Cozy. I think that's burgundy, child. It might be brown, look burgundy. But so we're talking, we're getting to know each other, you know what I'm saying? And we just vibing, and you know, like I said, his phone started ringing like back to back to back to back. And I'm like, what time were you supposed to be there? And he was like, oh, I was supposed to be there like, I think he said like 1 or 2, and it was like 3:30. Y'all, I was like, yo, like that's not professional though. Like if these people done paid you, and you supposed to be there. I don't know if he was supposed to host or whatever, but I know he was supposed to perform, and he was supposed to be there because they had it in Miami, you know, so him and Trina was supposed to be there. So, you know, like I say, I'm kind of like feeling bad. I'm like, yo, you need to go. Like, you need to get over there. Like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? So, y'all, this dude, he looks at my pictures. I'm going to show y'all a picture of my apartment because I'm pretty sure I showed y'all this before. But this is the apartment that I was in. So he starts looking at my pictures. Now, of course, I have my kids over there. So I'm a little concerned about the rest of this story. And this is where you guys need to remove your kids from the room or put on your headphones and listen to this part of the vlog. Okay? So he starts looking at my pictures or whatever. And there was this one specific picture where I had on some little shorts. You know, we're sitting kind of close, but not that close. Okay? Now, this dude, he starts looking at my picture. He started asking me, oh, all that's you? As if I was, back then people was known to be getting periactive shots. I think that's what it was called. Women would take these shots to, you know, gain weight and, you know, make themselves a lot larger than they normally are. And I'm like, yeah, like that's me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, that's me. You know, it is what it is. Okay. Point blank period. So he exposes himself, you guys. He literally just starts pulling down, not really pulling down his pants, but he starts to pull himself out of his pants, y'all. Now, please be advised, I am a married woman and I do have eyes, okay? And what I saw was very nice. I ain't gonna lie. Very nice, okay? Very nice. And when I say got luggage, okay? However, you know, I'm shocked because I'm not expecting this moment. It's very random. We're not having any type of, you know, intimate conversation. The only thing he said, which was a while ago, like, was all that you, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, and it wasn't like it was a very exploitive, you know, picture. It was just me in some shorts, you know, and you could just see the roundness, right? And he just starts immediately. I'm looking like, yo, what are you doing? Now I'm looking like, yo, what are you doing? You know, and he's like, what would it look like I'm doing? You know what I'm saying? And he starts to pleasure, okay, himself right there on my sofa. So as he starts getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the pleasuring of it all, honey, I'm like, yo, like, I'm thinking about my sofa the whole time. Like, it's my sofa. Like, you finna drop on my sofa? So I jumps up and I go get a napkin. I go get some napkins from my kitchen, because my kitchen was like right there. So I go get some napkins from my kitchen and I like throw the napkins at him because I'm like, yo, what the, you finna, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, yes, he did. He went to landing, you know, right there on that napkin. He grabbed the napkin from me and he went to landing on the napkin. And I'm just sitting up here like, I don't believe what the just happened, what I just saw, what's going on. I'm just like, am I being punked? You know, like, it was crazy, y'all. I felt disrespected because I'm like, clearly I have pictures of my kids in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can clearly see pictures of my kids. So I just was like turned off by the whole thing, but I was shocked. And I'm like, yo, you have to get out of here. You got to go. You know, they calling you. You need to get to where it is that you need to go. I'm like, that's unprofessional. You know, they probably, you know, worried about you and all of this stuff. And y'all, I told him, I said, I'll catch up with you. You know, I'll call you and this and that. And I'm like, you know, what time you think this going to be over? And, you know, I'll hit you up later and all this other stuff, y'all. I didn't call him again. Okay? I didn't call him again. A few months went by before I heard from him again. He called me. He was getting ready to get married, is what he told me. And he said, I'm going through my phone and I'm cleaning out my phone and I'm calling, I'm deleting everybody that, you know, ain't supposed to be in my phone. So, you know, but at the same time, he said, but I'm going to the Tyson, I think it was a Tyson Holyfield fight. It was one of them fights like that, if I'm not mistaken. He was like, but I'm going to the fight in Orlando, I think it was. Orlando, Jacksonville, I think it was in Orlando. He was like, but I'm getting ready to go to the fight. And he asked me, did I want to go to the fight with him? I'm like, didn't you just say you getting rid of everybody's phone number at your phone because you finna get married? He was like, yeah. But he was like, you a friend. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah. I say, but you could keep me in there as a friend if you want to keep me in there as a friend. But, you know, I can't be going to the fight. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we chatted up for a little bit. And, you know, I was just like, you know, enjoy your trip, you know, and, you know, good luck with the wedding and the marriage and all of that stuff. Because I went to school with the chick that he was getting ready to marry. I didn't know he was with her. Like, I didn't know who the hell. I didn't know he had a woman all them years, okay? I did not know he was with her. But I did see him on, I think it was MTV Cribs. And when I saw that, that's when I saw her on there. And I was like, oh, okay. That's when I saw her on there. She was on there with him. So, yeah, I was just like, I felt like disrespected, but Trey is just, he's a cool guy. You know, we're two adults, we're in a room, but, you know, I don't know. I just felt some type of way. So, I think there's another time that he reached out to me, but I can't recall if I talked to him again after that. I really can't recall if I talked to him again after that. But yeah, I was just like, I don't believe this. Like, y'all, I couldn't believe it. Like, There was another time that I ran into him, but by this time I was with me and Bae. We were married. We had moved up here, and they had there was an event with geeked up. Y'all, if y'all know it, started seeing spaceships on Bankhead. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They were performing. Marvin Dixon was performing. There were like so many artists performing that night, and Trick Daddy was one of them that was performing that night. And this is when I was doing music. So Bae had got a invite from somebody. I don't know, I think a promoter or something. I didn't perform, but they wanted me to be there as a special guest. So I was there as a special guest. Okay. And I saw him then. We took a picture together. We didn't speak. You know, again, it was so funny because when I saw him, he was coming out of the bathroom from like the dressing room. He was coming out of the bathroom, and I couldn't do nothing but laugh. Like, I'm grateful that, you know, I'm not holding on to that, like no grudge, but I couldn't do nothing but laugh at that point. I was just like, wow. But yeah, I don't know what, you know, what Trick does. I don't know what his choice of, you know, candy is. I'm not claiming the guy does crack or anything like that. That ain't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there was a smell that I, you know, recognized, and it was that. But you know, guys, they used to smoke that stuff they call boom. They used to call it boom back in the day. You know, when Trina was like, Hannah, I want to try talk to Trina. He over there smelling like boom and Hennessy and all that. Yes, that was a very true song. Okay. That was a very true song. So but yeah, I just, you know, I don't know, y'all. I be thinking a lot, like, what if, I really feel like if I would have dated him, I ain't gonna toot my own horn, but I really feel like Trick would have been he's a decent guy, as is. He's a decent guy. But I feel like if I would have dated him, you know, it would have turned into something major. You know what I'm saying? And he would have been like living a very good life. I feel like he's holding on to a lot of trauma. I do. You know, he lost his brother early on in life, and you know, he was traumatized by his own childhood. He was always wrong and always in trouble. None of my teachers ain't like me. What made it so bad? My mama had 7 more like me. If you growed up the way I did, man, I was so in love with his music. Trick was always one of my favorite rap artists, always, and always will be. His music was so relevant to my life. Like when he rapped and what he talked about was home. That was Miami. That's what we knew. You know, always be you know, one of my favorite artists, y'all. Trick music is just so relevant. Like, I love his music. I haven't listened to anything new, but that stuff that I do love, I'm pretty sure will carry me for a lifetime. Like, he's just the shit like that. When it comes to his music, he was very true. He was very into it. And, you know, I would have loved to make a song with him. I did make a song with Shawty Low, which is my song Emotional, and right before we was getting ready to shoot the video, he had a untimely passing, so I was not able to get my video done, but I did do my song Emotional with Shawty Low. And you know, I would have loved to do a song with Trick, but you know, I don't know at the same time, because it's complicated stuff that come with that, y'all, that y'all don't see that part, but it's some complicated stuff that comes with, you know, this industry. And I like doing things on my own. I don't really like engaging with other people in this industry, honey, because when it comes to contracts, and when it comes to, you know, movements, and when it comes to rights, and when it comes to payment, people be liking to act cray. I did work with this other guy. I think his name was Big E from Miami. And, you know, I'm just like, man, that taught me another lesson. It was a great experience, but it taught me a major lesson. So that's why when it comes to my music, all that features and stuff, child, that stuff get too complicated, honey. It ain't fun. It get too complicated, and it get disrespectful, and it causes conflict, you know, So, yeah, that's why I don't get involved in all that part right there. I do my own music, you know, and I heard some YouTubers, you know, a lot of their videos not getting monetized because they going in on the copyright of the music. You know what I'm saying? And as they should. That's why I write, record, and release my own music on my video. Everything you hear on this channel is mine. Mine. Remember that movie on Finding Nemo? Mine. That was me. I don't want no problems. No. So, and my music was actually under a big distribution company, but I deleted the distribution. That took forever. It ain't fair out there in these streets. And if you don't know no better, you can get taken advantage of, okay? I think the music industry is worse than the stripping business, okay? So, with that being said, all of that, yeah, that was my experience with the rapper Trick Daddy, y'all. But he's such a cool guy. You know, even though I don't know him, like, personally, I feel like we just, I don't know, time was not on our, I guess we were just out of alignment. Each time I connected with him, we were just, the timing just probably wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't right. So nothing came out of it, not even a damn song. And like I said, I would have liked a song to come out of it, but because he is one of my favorite rappers, if not my favorite. Outside of Trick Daddy would be Slick Rick. Hey young world, the world is yours. Hey young world, what? Outside of Trick Daddy, Slick Rick, who else would I say would be a favorite? Somebody who I listen to. Shit, I don't know. I used to like Jay-Z and Kanye West, but, they went on, I don't know. So I could say Jay-Z. I could say, I like when Jay-Z talks shit, you know what I'm saying? About, wealth and poetry and art and all of that stuff, and the designers and stuff, rollies that don't TikTok, you know what I'm saying? Like, he taught me a lot about, higher end products and stuff like that. Audemars K watch. I didn't know about Audemars K. Let me give y'all a funny story about Jay-Z. Something he taught me. He taught me about Manolo. Okay, y'all listen. I had went in Steve Madden shoe store one year, right? This was it 2000? Yeah, this had to be maybe 2001, maybe 2000. Yeah, 2001, because I was already with Bay. So I had went to Steve Madden and I saw these like Timberland style boots, right? But they were like heels. They had a heel on it. And I thought that was so cute. Them boots was like $180 in Steve Madden. And I bought them, okay? Now coincidentally, Jay-Z makes this song and he says, fake Manolo boot straight from Steve Madden. I didn't know what Manolo was. And I'm like, and so I'm Googling Manolo versus Steve Madden boots, and the same Timberland boots, the Timberland style boots that I had just bought, brand new. I gave them things away so quick. So y'all, I was low key like, I felt stupid. Jay-Z hurt my feelings in that damn song, because you could tell me, you know what I'm saying, I had done went and bought these high heel Timberlands, okay? Y'all, I love them boots. But when I saw the Manolo, and then that was when Beyonce, she had wore them on, I think that was TRL, when her and Jay-Z went on TRL, Beyonce had them on the Manolo, and I couldn't find them things nowhere. Like, they were sold out. I could not find them, but that's when I found out. I don't think, prior to then, I don't think I ever had a shoe that was, costed that much. I think the highest pair of shoes I had at that point was probably maybe $200, because I was just shopping in the local mall majority of the time, and then I had to go to the higher end mall, okay, which I hadn't been over there in a while, since like, maybe my kid's father, you know what I'm saying? So he was the one who really introduced me to a lot of, my baby daddy knew about high end stuff. That's all he used to love. That was just his thing. He was the one who introduced me into name brand stuff. Because I only knew, like, local name brand stuff. What was it? Cross colors and all that. Remember that, y'all? I'm telling y'all, I'm throwback. So, yeah. Jay-Z embarrassed the hell out of me. right? I had them, y'all, I gave them boots to my cousin. She was like, yeah, she loved them. She was like, okay, thank you. They were brand new, y'all, still in the box. I hadn't even worn them. Once I found out, I was like, I'm not going to be wearing no fake Manolo boots straight from Steve Madden. So I gave them dang on boots away. Yes, I did. So this is my look, y'all. Okay, I'm finna go put on my wig, honey. This is a color called pumpkin, I think. What is it called? Gingerbread Girl. That's what this color is. It's called Gingerbread Girl. So I'm gonna go with this because I'm doing fall. Okay. Browns, reds, orange, greens, yellow. Nice fall looks. Okay. So it's like a reddish orange color. Then extend that lip. So there we have a 49-cent filler. Yep, you just have to go beneath your line. Give yourself a little extra lip. Not uncomfortable at all. And you can go as low as you want. If you want an even bigger lip, you can go even bigger. I don't want to go even bigger, but I'm okay with what I got on right now. I had a gold, but I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. I have this. So I'm going to drop some of this gold right here in the middle. A couple of lines. You see this gold? So I'm just going to, you see that? Right. Period. Look at them. Just giving it a little, you know. Y'all see? Just giving it a little so when I talk, people could pay attention to that middle part of my lip. Like, girl, what that is right there? You know? So look. Not too much. Just giving a little bit of a sheen, a little. And this is my fall little nails, y'all. Okay. Fall nails, fall colors, purples, reds, orange, yellow, you know, stuff like that. So this is my look, my little fall look. Once I put on my wig and stuff, y'all know I'm finna make it stunt. All right, let me go live because they already in the leaving messages to my guess I'm early. They know I be late a lot. I do. Ain't gonna I be late, but I get there. Get there if I can. Bye, y'all. Hey, my gems. Y'all, I am finally done. I just did Patreon. No, I didn't do Patreon yet. I'm getting ready to do Patreon, but I did just finish my oh Lord, look at my head, y'all. I did just finish my YouTube. Okay, so that's what I just did. Y'all see I'm rocking these little fall colors, y'all. Just golds and browns and stuff like that. Little gold jewelry, right? And also brown and gold and stuff like that. So I told y'all this is a great way to incorporate that energy of fall, okay, in your life without it being too much. And this is just how I do it. You can have your own little look, okay? You don't have to do it the way I do it, all these colors and, you know what I'm saying, like that. You can choose your own color. You can wear leaves. You know, you can wear acorns. You know, it doesn't matter. Just bring in that energy of fall. That way, you know, for me, this is how I feel a lot more connected to God, to connect to the energies of nature. You know, right now we're in that fall energy, and when I connect to the energy of nature, y'all, it's an amazing experience. I ain't even gonna lie. Okay, it is an amazing experience. I love it. And, you know, I like doing this as opposed to, like I say, the holidays. I used to, you know, celebrate holidays and stuff like that. But I used to feel like I didn't feel satisfied. And this right here actually makes me feel satisfied. So I love it, you know, but find a way to connect to fall, either through decorating your home. You can do that. Like I said, you can do it in your clothing, rocking some nice fall colors, you guys, just really connecting to nature. I find that is the one place that I'm able to find God, honestly, is in nature. It doesn't lie. Nature tells you the truth every time. Nobody writes it. It's not in a book. You know what I'm saying? Getting out in nature and seeing how God speaks to us through nature, and, you know, the butterflies, the flowers, the colors, you know what season it is, you know what time it is. Like, nature is just, It's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. So yeah, y'all, this is my little fall. Okay, I'm starting to move into that fall energy, honey. I love fall. Between fall and spring, I think those are my two favorite times. I do like a little bit of winter, but fall and spring, honey, oh, that's your girl. That is your girl, honey. Fall and spring, yes. Okay. But anywho, let me go ahead and get on over to my Patreon folk, because they're over there waiting on me, y'all. And I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Bye, y'all.